Okay.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauramani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So welcome all devotees for our Bhagavad Gita weekly study. Today we will be discussing on the Duryodhana's diplomatic um, endeavors, diplomacy in trying to keep his Kaurava army very enthused in a positive way to go ahead in that war. So, today we have Atul Raj Prabhu with us. I know him from last 1.5 years or so, 2 years. During COVID, after the COVID got cleared, then he came into picture, and he's a very wonderful devotee, committed, simple, and enthusiastic student. And through him only, we also came to know of another great devotee or another enthusiastic devotee who starts attending our classes. That is Atul's Prabhu's sister, Shivani. So she also a very dynamic lady and deeply practicing devotional service. Uh, uh, and she's also a part of this participants here. I'm happy that Atul is going to share today. So he'll be sharing on the first 7 verses of Bhagavad Gita from uh, from his own studies, what he has understood and realized. Hare Krishna. Please, Atul Prabhu, you can share.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kauravas, was blind both physically and spiritually. In the verse 1, he is asking his secretary, Sanjaya, about the events on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Sanjaya, who had been blessed with divine vision by the great sage Vyasa, could see everything that was happening, even though he was far away from the battlefield. Dhritarashtra represent the living entities who are ignorant of their spiritual identity and are attached to material things. Sanjaya, on the other hand, represent true spiritual master who has the power to give divine vision and reveal the truth. Dhritarashtra's reason of asking the question were desirous, fearful, doubtful, and hopeful. Kurukshetra is also the place where all the religious sacrifices were performed. Prithu Maharaj also did religious activities to please devatas, so it became Dharmashetra. In verse 2, Duryodhana, the leader of the Kauravas, going to his teacher Dronacharya to show off his army and express his desire for battle. Duryodhana was envious in the Duryodhana was envious of the Pandavas and wanted to defeat them at all costs. Duryodhana's mentality is that of a materialistic person who is attached to his bodily relationship and possessions. He fails to see the bigger picture and the ultimate cause of victory, which is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Duryodhana praises the Pandavas' military formation, but his words are full of envy and pride. He fails to recognize that the Pandavas' devotion to Krishna is the real source of their strength. Duryodhana's attitude is typical of a materialistic person who thinks that he is the doer and the enjoyer. He fails to acknowledge the Lord's hand in everything and thinks that victory is based on material power only. Duryodhana lists some of the Pandavas' warriors who are equal in fighting prowess to his own warriors in verse 4 to 7. Even though Drishtadumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhana as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory, because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhima and Arjuna. He knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna, and thus he compared the others with them. Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Sabya. There are the mighty Yudhyamanyu, the very powerful Uttamoja, the son of Subhadra and the son of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'm done.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, yeah. So you made these notes on your own?
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, I took a little bit of help from my sister.
Acha. Okay, okay. This is another very wonderful way you are presenting, because sometimes I see that devotees, uh, they read a lot, but when it comes to presentation, uh, they're confused what to present. But you start writing down now, either in the form of a presentation, like you make your own PPT, or you write a bullet points, what to share, no, or a addressing way, When you start writing, then you come to you can get things very clear. So, and especially, I'm very happy the way you presented. And you brought out two important points here of Dhritarashtra's attachment. The word Dhritarashtra itself speaks about that. Dhrita means the land, and Rashtra means the kingdom. Dhritarashtra is the one who is very much attached to his land and kingdom. So we see his blind attachment for his own kinsmen and the kingdom, for which he was striving to keep secured. And then we see another aspect which we will be discussing elaborately today is on the Duryodhana's diplomacy. How he is keeping comparing both the armies, Kauravas and Pandavas. In a brief gist, you have very nicely spoken up. And this is what I want devotees study and then make their own notes. That becomes a briefing of the entire verses. Just by reading this 10 minutes talk, you can get to know what is the whole thing is there. However, in our sessions, we would like to hear devotees speak their personal applications also. It's not about just presenting what is given there and how it is relevant to you. You can also speak that point also. These are the few points which you can add. How you felt relevant, right? Like Duryodhana diplomacy. How you feel it relevant in our life. Or the Dhritarashtra's attachment, how it is relevant to our life. We can conclude in this way, we can categorize. Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So, before I share on the presentation, last time we discussed it till verse number, I think, Pandava, the first verse only, I think. First two verses we spoke, 1 and 2. And especially we were, just wait, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So now I will be sharing one important aspect on the Bhagavad Gita, verse number, yeah. So you're able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
You see the screen? Yeah. Ek minute, where I am. Paschaitam Panduputranam. Somebody can repeat after me with their mic unmuted. That will be easy for us to recite. This is the third verse. Last time we discussed the first two verses, which explain about Dhritarashtra's attachment, Mamaka. So now we are discussing the third verse. Paschaitam Panduputranam. Anyway, Mother Sundar Prabhu, some of you can unmute and then recite.
पश्चातां पाण्डुपुत्राणाम्
आचार्यामहितिं च मम
महतिं च मम
व्यूढं द्रुपदपुत्रेण
व्यूढं द्रुपदपुत्रेण
अवशिष्येन धीमता.
तव शिष्येन धीमता.
So here we are we are entering into the consciousness of Duryodhana. See, Shastras, when they speak, elaborate on the characters, these characters' names or these characters' qualities are presented in such a way that we learn lessons. So here, the character which is being introduced is Duryodhana. Duryodhana. One whose consciousness is very much crippled-minded. See, when somebody's consciousness is crippled in terms of trying to exploit the nature, trying to exploit the other people, trying to exploit their own family members in order for one's own sense gratification, they go to in a very aggressive way. And that is what Duryodhana meant. Duryodhana, what he was doing is, even though he was having such a very strong desire to exploit others, however, he used the diplomacy as a tool to cover his what you can say, to cover his evil-mindedness. However, the nature of diplomacy is that if it is properly utilized by a person, he can do best benefit to the society. However, if a evil-minded person uses the diplomacy, it actually turns out to be very bad politics. We can see very carefully. Diplomacy is a very important, powerful tool. If the tool is used by a great person, it can bring out a very good to the society. In order to quote one example, I would like to share from the history from the Bhagavatam itself, the story of King Vena. King Vena was quite torturing the entire kingdom and the citizens. He's supposed to be king and take care of, protect the citizens. However, his character was not so spiritually oriented. And therefore, he started exploiting the citizens. And the Brahmanas, who are considered to be the pillars of the society, they are supposed to ensure the security of the entire kingdom. So they went and discussed about it with Vena, but they found Vena was not even ready to hear them and tried to rectify his way of functioning. Then the Brahmanas had to come together and take a decision of removing him. But he's beyond that power. He started using his power in a very bad way. So the Brahmanas cursed him to die. So this Brahmanas used that time a very diplomatic way. They did a yagna, and then in the yagna, they invoked certain mantras by which they cursed him to die. They expressed a dissatisfaction and he died. And they felt, let us continue like that. But they realized as soon as the king was killed, the entire kingdom was polluted by thieves and robbers. They were coming and doing a lot of criminal activities were increasing. So immediately they felt the need of having a king. But how they will establish a king? They already killed a king. So immediately they churned the body of Vena and invoked the Supreme Lord to come from his body. So we see that diplomacy is a very powerful tool. Diplomacy means what? Sama, Veda, Sama, Dana, Veda, Danda. These are the 4 aspects. You try to convince the person. If that doesn't work, you give him some gifts. If that doesn't work, then you have a deal with him. Differentiate, okay, differentiate and then start dealing with him. And even if that doesn't work, then you punish the person. So the diplomacy, when it is used properly by a person, then it brings out a wonderful, establishment. Society develops. But however, most of the modern times we see that diplomacy is not used by a right person. The diplomacy used by the people who have the some sort of mentality like Duryodhana, who is very wicked-minded and is looking for his own sense gratification and ready to exploit the whole society also for that purpose. Exploit his own family members. He want to kill his own family members. Pandavas only wanted 5 villages, not the entire world. But even that he was not willing to give. He was so much selfish oriented. Because he started using diplomacy, it turned out to be dirty politics. And that's what we see in modern times now. The politics becomes very dirty because of the diplomacy being used by a wicked-minded leaders. This is the most unfortunate thing. And therefore, it's necessary that we learn what is this wicked-mindedness of the Duryodhana. The diplomacy is very good. But you have to know the most important aspect which being here emphasized of Duryodhana is wicked-mindedness. Paschaitam Panduputranam Achara Mahitam Chamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tavashishyena Dhimata. So here in this particular verse, Duryodhana, when he observed both parties from Kaurava's side and he also observed on the Pandava's side, then he felt a little doubtful, just like his father. His father also felt doubtful about the Dharma Kshetra. So he also felt doubtful. Whether in this particular Kurukshetra, Dharma Kshetra, will I be successful? So he felt little fear. See, you fear when your fear is based on the consciousness you have. Like for example, if a devotee is practicing very sincerely in his devotional service and he goes into a nightclub, he fears going to a nightclub, or he fears going in the night parties with his friends or colleagues, because he knows there a lot of adharma is happening, a lot of sinful activities are happening. I can't be part of it. On the other hand, a non-devotee may feel very secured there, and may feel very enlivened there. So it's very important that your what you fear is based on what your value or what your consciousness is. So here Duryodhana felt fearful because of that place. That Kurukshetra place is very spiritually oriented, and he felt fearful. However, he did not wanted to present his fear in front of his kingsmen, in front of his army. He wanted to cover his fear. Most of the people in the world, they try to do. They cover the fear of the death. Death is very close. Everyone actually fearing death. But how they cover it? They cover it by doing a lot of other activities. They try to keep their mind absorbed in doing some, something routine, something extraordinary things on a frequent basis. They want to keep themselves absorbed in something else than the reality. That is how the person covers their fear. So here Duryodhana, he wanted to cover his fear. For that, what he does, he first goes to his guru or the commander-in-chief, the Dronacharya. Yeah, because he has to estimate the power on the other party. So that estimation a king will do based on consulting with the Senadipati, the commander-in-chief. And during the Kauravas army, Karna was not the commander-in-chief. However, Dronacharya was the commander-in-chief first. So he went to Dronacharya and he started telling him, finding faults with him. That's what we see here. Is finding faults with. So he goes to find fault with the Dronacharya. And what Dronacharya says, Tava Shishyena. His Shishya, Drishtadumna, he is the son of Drupada. Last time we discussed very elaborately on the story of the Drona, how he wanted to take revenge on Drupada. And Drupada, when he failed, when he became when he became a big failure in front of Drona, he wanted to take a revenge on Drona. And Drupada gave birth to Drishtadumna. In that way, Drishtadumna was born only to kill Dronacharya. And Dronacharya knew well that this student, Drishtadumna, is coming to learn military art only so that in the future he will kill the Guru. So Duryodhana is pointing this to be a mistake. Actually, this is a very good quality of a Brahmana. Brahmana is very liberal. He will not mind teaching to even an enemy. Even he doesn't mind sharing the knowledge with an enemy, because if it is beneficial to that person. So Dronacharya entertained Drishtadumna in his Gurukul and taught him very expertly. In fact, after Arjuna, Drishtadumna is the one who learned very expertly all the military aspects from the Dronacharya. And Drishtadumna, when he learned, then when Dronacharya was always to think, Duryodhana used to always feel, what is this? He's going to kill him and he's telling him all the secrets and the skills by which he can kill him. So he found this to be a fault. Therefore, now what you consider right and what you consider wrong, it all depends on the consciousness you have, what you value. Some people feel that feeding the poor people, even non-veg, is not an issue, because feeding them is very important. But a devotee are very conscious. Yes, feeding poor people is important, but for that sake, you cannot kill animals and feed them. Better feed them some other thing, grains. So it's very important what you consciousness, what value you have based on that. Okay, that's what we see in the Dronacharya. And Duryodhana, further, he describes the warriors of the opposing army. He started telling Drona, don't be lenient as you were with Drishtadumna while teaching. A very important point. While teaching Drishtadumna, he was very lenient. But now on the battlefield, oh Drona, you can't be lenient. Drona may say, why I will be lenient? With whom I will be lenient now? He said, on the other party, there are great people, Pandavas. And there are many others who are very close to you. Don't be lenient with them and understand they are very powerful. So Duryodhana is describing the warriors on the opposing side, fourth one. So please repeat after me. Whoever is possible, please unmute their mics and play. Okay. Maybe whom I will Atul Prabhu, you only can repeat after me. Okay. Please unmute your mouth.
Okay, Prabhu.
Atra Sura Maheshwasha
Atra Shura Maheshwasa
Bhima Arjuna Samayudhi
Bhima Jurna Sma Yudhi
Yodhano Viratasya
Yudhano Viratascha
Upadasya Maharatha.
Drupaduscha Maharatha.
he starts mentioning great heroes equal to Bhima and Arjuna. See, Duryodhana is comparing everyone with Bhima and Arjuna because he knew their power. Duryodhana had experienced the power of Arjuna and also is a lifelong enemy. Duryodhana's lifelong enemy was Bhima. And Bhima very much wanting to kill Duryodhana personally. So he know both of their strengths. So he starts comparing other warriors on Pandava's side with Bhima and Arjuna. And then he mentions the many other heroes who are on the Yuddhana Viratascha Drupadascha Maharatha. So Maharathi, there's a calculation given. What is a Maharathi? Drupada means the king Drupada, who is an opponent of Dronacharya. And especially mention the word Drupada because Drona will feel angry about him. Because Drona and Drupada are envious on each other. They're enmical. So therefore he mentioned the word Drupada. And Yuddhana and Viratascha. We'll see that on the next slides. That Virata is the person all of you might be knowing in the 13 years of exile. The 13th year there should be an incognito. The Pandavas should remain incognito, and if they are seen during that time, then again they have to go for next 13 years of exile. It's a very tough experiment. And during the 13th year, Pandavas, they remained under the shelter of the Virata. Virata Parvat is called as, they stay there, and that is the place where Arjuna was teaching Uttara, the dancing, and Uttara becomes very much attracted. And then later on, they wanted to marry Uttara to Arjuna, but Arjuna says, I always saw Uttara as a daughter. While teaching a student, the master should see the lady disciples as daughters, not as a fiancée or something like this. They should see them as the daughters. So Arjuna said, I see her like a daughter. Rather, I would prefer that she should get married with my son Abhimanyu. And that's how the Abhimanyu and Uttara are married. And in the womb of Uttara, Parikshit Maharaj took birth. So this is a very interesting aspect we see here. Raja Virat is there. And Uttar Kumara is also there in that, the brother of Uttara. Yuddhana, another great warrior. In their connection, I would like to share something. I suppose I have the details here. Just wait. Yeah. I'm just sharing some screen, very important work on too. Yeah. uh, 4 to 6. These are the various warriors on the side of Pandavas. So Duryodhana is telling each of their names. And according to Srila Prabhupada, these names are very auspicious because these names actually refer to those devotees who are serving Krishna by standing on the Dharma side. So therefore, it's considered very auspicious. See, Lord's names are very auspicious, and more auspicious are the Lord's devotees' names. Therefore, whenever you get an opportunity to address some devotee, you should speak their name. Not like that, hey Prabhu, hello Prabhu, ha Prabhu, please come Prabhu. Now, Prabhu word is very good, but you should also address their name. Like here, devotees, Madhav Sundar Prabhu. You call them with the name. Like that, when you call devotees with their spiritual names, it is very much, it reminds of your Krishna. So that's what we see here. So we see 4 to 6 verses. Atra Sura Maheshwasha Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuddhana Viratascha Drupadascha Maharata. So 3 characters we discussed. Yuddhana Viratascha Drupadascha. Drishtaketu Chekitana. Please repeat. Drishtaketu Chekitana.
Krishtaketu Sake Chekitana
Kashi Rajascha Viryavan.
Kashi Rajascha Viryavan
Urujit Kunti Bhojascha.
Urjit Kunti Bhojascha
Saipascha Narapungava.
Saibascha Narapungava
Verse number 5. Next one. Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta.
Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta
Uttamaujascha Viryavan.
Uttamaujascha Viryavan
Saubhadro Draupadeyascha.
Sobhadro Draupadeyascha
Sarva eva Maharataha.
Sarva Eva Maharatha.
So you see Maharatha, and there are the Athirata, and you see many other names here. Okay, what are these? We'll see. Here are brave men, Atra Sura, skillful with great bows, Maha Ishwasa. So a king, a warrior, should have a bow and arrow, and equal to. And these warriors are not ordinary warriors. Their strength is बराबर है, भीम और अर्जुन की हिसाब से है उन लोग का. सात्यकी, this is another name of Yuddhana. Yuddhana is also called as Satyaki. Satyaki, Virata, the Raja Virata, and Drupada. So Drupada is the Maharata. These all 3 are Maharathas. And Drishtakenu, Chekitana, and the valorous king of Kashi, Kashi Raja. Chekitana is the Raja, Kashi Raja, and Viryavan. Purujit, Kunti Bhoja and Saibya. So Kunti Bhoja is actually the father of Kunti Maharani. So he also came to fight there. And Yuddha Manusha, you see the mighty Yuddha Manyu. Violent Uttamauja. Yuddhamanu Uttamauja. And next is Abhimanyu. Shaubhadra. Shaubhadra matlab the son of Subhadra. So Arjuna, when he married after Draupadi, he married also Subhadra. All of you know the story. He was very much becomes attracted to Subhadra. And then Krishna helps in getting Subhadra married with Arjuna. However, Balaram wanted Subhadra to be married to Duryodhana. But Subhadra very much wanted to be married to Arjuna. That's how they get married. And their son is Saubhadra is Abhimanyu. And the 5 sons of Subhadra. The 5 sons of Draupadi. Draupadi had 5 sons, Draupadeyascha. And all other Maharathas. So we see here. So these are the diplomatic way. Why he is mentioning all these names? Why Duryodhana is mentioning all these names? Is explaining. This small army arranged by Drishtadumna will be eradicated by you. Do not fear. See, when Duryodhana is addressing Drona, he's telling all these various names, not to glorify them, but to tell their strength is just like of Bhima and Arjuna. You can easily conquer them. उनकी strength है ना भीम अर्जुन जैसे है, ज्यादा कुछ है ही नहीं उसमें, अब आराम से उनको मार सकते हैं. Do not fear. So we see. So Saubhadra, as I mentioned, refers to Abhimanyu, and Draupadeya refers to the 5 sons of Draupadi, born from each of the Pandavas. These are the 5 sons of, this you can remember, 5 sons of Pandavas, who were actually killed by Ashwadhama in the later, after the Kurukshetra war is over. Prativindya, Shrutasena, Shrutakirti, Shathanika, and Shrutakarma. These are the 5 sons of Pandavas. So, and there are also other sons of Pandavas, like Ghatotkacha also came into that. So, if you see, when Duryodhana was addressing to Drona, he doesn't mention all the names. By adding cha, cha also, there are many other variants are there. He doesn't value them much. In fact, they are very famous. Actually, each one of them has such a power. Ghatotkacha, what power he had. He doesn't mention here. Duryodhana doesn't mention his name also. So you can see that Maharada. What is the Maharada? Is explained here in this particular verse. Ekadasho Ekadasha Sahasrani Yodayat Yastu Danvinam Shastra Shastra Pravinascha Maharata iti smritaha. Amitan Yodayet Yastu Samprokto Atirastitu Saha Radhi Chaikena Yo Yudhye Tan Nyuno Radha Ratasmritaha. A Maharata is one man who can fight alone with 10,000 archers. Ek saath 10,000 archers he can fight. Who is expert in both weapons and scripture. And Athirata, Maharata ka bola Athirata. Athirata is one who fights with unlimited troops or 60,000 archers according to one source. It's mentioned that he can do 60,000. Maharata and Athirata. And then a Radha is the one who fights with one opponent. एक रथ मतलब घोड़े के ऊपर जो है घोड़े के साथ, रथ के ऊपर है जो रथ के साथ, हाथी के ऊपर जो बैठते हाथी के साथ, उस प्रकार. That is called as Ratha. One who does less than that is called Ardharatha. That means he cannot even fight with one opponent properly. So you see, by the sequence, Adhiratha would be seen to be less than Maharada. However, Arjuna was an Adhiratha. And in the commentary, Bhishma is described as Adhiratha. So this would make the Adhiratha superior to Maharata. So they were mentioned as Adhirathas. Actually, Duryodhana was mentioned Adhiratha. The scripture says Adhiratha is very powerful than Maharata because he has the capacity to fight with 60,000 archers at a time. The drop from Maharata to Rathi, who fights with only one archer, seems rather drastic. So I will stop there. So we see that in describing armies, Duryodhana found another diplomatic way. He is trying to downsize the armies, the power of army on the Pandava side. But however, the Acharyas, when they're explaining that actually he is unable to downsize because the word which he mentioned about Bhima and Arjuna speaks about how powerful they are. And he mentioned many names. In fact, he mentioned many names. Even though he could not mention some other names like Ghatotkacha, he did mention some of them. Okay. So we see here Duryodhana's tactics about downsizing the army on the other side. So I will continue here. Okay. Verse number 5. That we saw already. Duryodhana names more variants. Here you can see. Hare Krishna, I think my video is not very proper here because of the internet issues. Yeah. Somebody can read. These are the various warriors. What the names are they mentioned? Yes.
Drishtaketu.
Yeah,
Drishta,
Atal Prabhu, please.
Drishtaketu. Drishtaketu was the son of Shishupal, who fought on behalf of Pandavas. Shishupal was against Lord Krishna and not against Pandavas. Drishtak- Drishtaketu was killed by Drona in a fierce battle.
Yeah. See, Shishupal, if you know, Dantavakkara and Shishupal, they were the cousins of Lord Krishna. They were born from the like other sisters of Kunti or something like that. Okay. Devaki, Vasudeva, their other. But what they did was, Shishupal was against Krishna, but however, they were very familiar with Pandavas, very close with Pandavas. It happens in families, people are differentiated. So here, the Dishtaketu sided on the Pandavas side. Even though their family was not very much, what you call, close in relationship with Krishna, but they had with Pandavas. And he was killed by Drona in a fierce battle. Yeah. Chekitana.
Chekitana. Chekitana was a Yadava in the dynasty of Vrishni. He was a very chivalrous Maharathi and was one of the commanders in chief of the Pandava army.
All of you know, Maharathi, as I mentioned, Maharathi is the one who can fight at a time with 10,000 archers. That is the Maharathi. So here Chekitana, who is also called Yodhana. Yodhana. He is the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas. One of the commander-in-chief, basically what is coming in during the Mahabharata Kurukshetra war, during certain days, certain commander-in-chief will act. And he will be in charge in action for certain time, like in a chairmanship. It changes. So it changes like that. So however, in the beginning, Dishtadimna was there. After some time, then Chekitana was also came as a commander-in-chief. It's not that at a time there are two commander-in-chiefs. As in Pandava and Kaurava side also we see that Dronacharya was there. And after him, Dronacharya, Bhishma came, and after the Bhishma, then Karna came. Like that, we see there is a, based on the time and place circumstances, the position of this particular chairmanship of commander-in-chief changes. Yeah, next.
Kasi Raja. Kasi Raja was the king of Kashi. He fought on the side of the Pandavas.
King of very fought on the side of the Pandavas. Yeah. Next.
Purujit and
This
Kunti.
Kashiraj is the same Kashiraj who, on whose behalf Lord Shiva came to fight with Lord Krishna, and then there he becomes, he surrenders, he realizes his mistake, then he sides on the Pandava side. Yeah. Next.
Purujit and Kunti Bhoja. Purujit and Kunti Bhoja were brothers of Kunti.
They were the brothers of Kunti. No? Kunti Bhoja is the brother of Kunti. Yeah. Saibya.
Sebya. Sebya was the father-in-law of Maharaja Yudhishthira. His daughter Devika was married to Yudhishthira Maharaja. He is known as Narapugava, the best of men, and was recognized as a powerful heroic warrior.
Yeah. See, you all should know that Pandavas, they got married to Draupadi, their first wife. However, each of the Pandavas also had another wife. Because in their exile, during exile and other playtimes, they wanted to increase the power of their army, or they want to establish the relationship. So marriage became a very powerful instrument to connect both two kingdoms very strongly with each other. So, however, nowadays we see marriage is only between a man and woman who thinks about their own selfish maintenance. Earlier, actually, marriage used to be an act where both families come together, or both kingdoms come together. That's how the marriages are given a lot of value. It's a responsibility. It's a commitment on both sides. That's what we see here. Yudhishthir was married to Devika. Like that, you see Bhima also got married to Hidimba. We see Arjuna marrying Draupadi. like that it happened, other personalities. Okay. Yudvanasya Vikranta, we read this one. So this also we discussed. Ekaratha, Maharatha is the one who with 10,000, and Adhiratha is the one who fought with unlimited troops. Basically 60,000, because here when mentioning Drupada, Bhima and Arjuna, Krishna, our Duryodhana says, Artra Shura Maheshwasha Bhima Arjuna Samayudi Yudhana Virishchata Draupadisha Maharati. So they are compared to be less. So actually Athiratha, one of the Acharyas says is 60,000 warriors. So Arjuna and Bhima are compared to Athirathas. And Rathi is the one who fights with one. Now Duryodhana in the 7th verse onwards, he will describe his own warriors. Because after explaining so many people who are very much close to Dronacharya, Duryodhana felt that I enough chastised or enough found faults with Dronacharya. Let me encourage him. Let me encourage Dronacharya again, because I have found fault with him. I started telling him, don't be lenient with the other Pandava side. So he may feel very much. So let me explain from the, let me explain my army. And in this way he starts. Yeah. Please repeat after me. Asmakam tu vishishtaye
अस्माकं तु विशिष्टाये
Tanibodha Dvijottama
तान्निबोधा द्विजोत्तमा
Tanibodha Dvijottama
तान्निबोधा द्विजोत्तमा
Nayaka Mama Sainyasya
नायका मम सैन्यस्य
Nayaka Mama Sainyasya
नायका मम सैन्यस्य
Samjnardham Tan Brevimite.
संज्ञार्थतान् ब्रवीमि.
So 7 to 9 is explaining the armies on his side. Just like from 4 to 6, he spoke about the army on the Pandava side. And now 7 to 9 is speaking about the Kaurava side. He said Duryodhana is in a dilemma. Whom to represent first? Because till now he is found fault with Drona. So now he felt, should I address Bhishma? Because he is also there in the battlefield. उनको तो एड्रेस अभी तक किया नहीं मैंने, तो वो क्या नाराज हो जाएंगे मेरे से? या फिर मैं द्रोणा को अपलिफ्ट करूं? तो समझ नहीं पा रहे थे. So therefore he starts explaining the what you call the warriors on his side by addressing first Dronacharya. He addresses Dronacharya first. Bhavan. Why he says Drona, not Bhishma first? Because Drona is the one whom Duryodhana found faults with. And he wanted to encourage him. Therefore, he spoke his name first. And second is, Drona happened to be a Brahmana, while Bhishma is a Kshatriya. And Kshatriya doesn't fight if somebody is giving more respect to a Brahmana. So therefore, Duryodhana in his diplomacy, he started speaking the words of, speaking the names of Drona first, not the Bhishma. Then he says Bhishma. Bhavan Bhishma, Bhavan, you. And he names before the Bhishma. And then he mentions very nicely in these verses that how all these people are ready to lay down their lives for him. By this particular statement, laying down their lives, Duryodhana, actually Acharya say that Duryodhana already concluded. What he concluded? That all of these people who are on his side are going to lay down their lives. However, they are ready to lay down their lives for his sake, but actually he is telling the reality They are going to lay down their lives because they are on adharma side. They are going to lose their lives. He already declared the future. Duryodhana already declared the future, what is going to happen. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So in the 8th verse, he explains, Bhavan Vishchancha Karnascha Kripascha. So before I discuss 7th verse, translation will read. And we'll see some points from there. You're able to see? Asmakam tu Vishishtaye Tan Nibodha Dijottama Nayaka Mama Sainyascha Samnyatam Tan Ravimite. Oh, best of the Brahmanas. He's addressing to Drona. Who is addressing? Duryodhana. Duryodhana is addressing to Dvijottamaha. That is Dronacharya. Understand who is on our side. So he started telling, Are Baba, commander in chief, he only has arranged the army. He knows who are there on his side. However, Duryodhana was not confident that somebody else, how they will arrange properly. So he started explaining the powerful people on his side to Drona again. See this team here. Kaurava's team you see and Pandava's team. Pandava's team, they all are united to please Krishna and establish Yudhishthir. And each one of them have a very, very powerful history. On the other side, the Kaurava side, people are not very much united. They have their own agendas. Everyone has their own interests. And you see, they're all standing on the side of adharma. On the side of Duryodhana means they are on the adharma side. Understand who is on our side. The commanders of my army. So he started, I will list them. Tan Brevi means, so that you can completely understand. Basically, he's telling Drona, you don't understand the powerful people on my side. This so is not valuing or is not keeping faith on the commander-in-chief. He's not having faith in his team. He's not very confident. Therefore, he started explaining to Drona again. Sometimes it happens, when you make a team and their roles are divided among devotees, team members. But as a team lead, you are not confident about the members with whom you shared the responsibilities. And what you do sometimes, you repeatedly go to them and tell, this is your responsibility, understand, this is what you... So this is quite irritating, So Duryodhana actually irritating Dronacharya here, by mentioning all these particular things. Thinking that Drona might perceive that he was fearful of the Pandavas' army, Duryodhana spoke boldly to cover his inner fears. So he starts speaking very loudly. The people on his side. Among our troops, understand those who are particularly outstanding. He said, don't think that Bhima and Arjuna side only there are people powerful. On our side also they are powerful. Leaders, Nayakas, endowed with great intelligence and other quality. So basically he's telling another point, Duryodhana's diplomacy. He said that don't think that you're only the person powerful here. Even if you are not willing to fight because of affection on the Pandavas and the people on the Pandavas side, it may happen. The people's heart is involved. So Duryodhana felt that Drona's heart may be weakened by seeing the Pandavas and he may not fight properly. Still, I will gain victory because I have people who are ready to lay down their lives for me. And this he does specifically. He tells all the names, powerful people on his side and telling that, Drona, you understand it. Okay. Please understand what I'm saying. We speak the word, please understand without having that consciousness. The other person has his own mind and set by which he is understanding things. Sometimes we are not confident of our team, of our people with whom are connected. So when you're not confident, now you start, expressing that, unconfidence or less confidence in confidence on the person by questioning him or by repeatedly instructing him on the same thing, or like that it happens. So please understand, please understand, please understand. It is a very irritating word here. So in this way, he is speaking about the warriors who are ready to lay down their lives for him. See, on Pandava's side, the warriors are not ready to lay down their lives for a specific person. They are ready to lay down their lives for dharma, for establishing dharma. And they are ready to lay down their lives as a service to Krishna. But on the Kaurava side, Duryodhana is feeling confident that these people have come to lay down their lives for me. So you see, Duryodhana's side is very personalistic. You see, most of the times, a particular teams which are formed, whether in spiritual organizations or material organizations, they're very quiet person oriented, and they're not mission oriented. They're not oriented in terms of focusing on uniting principle. It's about a person. Even the person does a mistake, they don't mind it. They want him to be elected and rule the particular society, because they see that connection. They don't see the welfare of the society. So common vision should be shared, and that should be kept at the central point. And Srila Prabhupada, when he established ISKCON, he actually did this. He made International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He kept Krishna in the center. He did not keep himself in the center. And we see the devotees are united and they're able to expand all over the world because of keeping Krishna in the center, not any specific person. Keeping Krishna, who can satisfy everyone. And certainly it's the responsibility of the devotees within the ISKCON to understand the great contribution which done by Srila Prabhupada, and always keep him in a position as a preeminent Shiksha Guru. He is the one Guru, the Guru, not one Guru. He is the Guru who was actually gave clear instructions about the purpose of our human life, the purpose of establishing ISKCON. Therefore, it's necessary that we read the commentaries of Srila Prabhupada very diligently and understand the mood and mission powerfully, so that we are united. We should not become a person oriented. If we become a very specific person oriented in terms of, again, I'm not telling here that we should not have a personal inspirations. We can have our own inspirations from many other, our own individual. But however, we should be having the mission in the center. Pleasing Guru and Krishna, pleasing Srila Prabhupada and Krishna should be kept at the common. Okay. On that basis, we should continue. Like the Pandavas are like that. Our Kauravas are not like that. Kaurava army, people are ready to lay down because Karna has his own selfish interest, which he was addressing. Who? Our Duryodhana was addressing. Drona has his own personal interest, which Duryodhana was addressing. So everyone has their own specific agendas which they are trying to fulfill with an individual person. So that personal cult, that aspect is not. Here, when I speak personal cult, don't mean that we are not personal. Our entire organization is personal. We are personal with Krishna, personal with the Guru. When it comes to the mission, and when it comes to establishing the missionary aspects, we are united at a common point on a principle of serving Krishna. We should be united. We cannot become, we can have our own teams. We can have our own individual small teams where we take nourishment. But when it comes to service, we are with the whole thing. We are with the whole society. That's how we should go ahead. Personal inspirations can be personal. When it comes to serving the community, we are with everyone. This is what we see very powerful in these verses. Duryodhana lacked that. Duryodhana wanted everyone to focus on him. On the other side, Pandavas wanted everyone to focus on Krishna, everyone to focus on religious principles. On the Duryodhana side, they were compromising many religious principles in order to just stay together. That togetherness has no value. That togetherness will break after some time. And in fact, in the Kurukshetra war, you see that unity which they maintained, they wanted to maintain, could not withstand for a long time. Karna is thinking when Bhishma will die so that he can become the commander in chief. That was the consciousness with which he is fighting in that team. So how the team is very powerful. Can you imagine? So, and Duryodhana, he doesn't believe on Drona. He doesn't believe in the arrangement which Drona did. And he is questioning him, finding faults with him. And now he's speaking such a way in order to find, in order to anger Drona. So he's speaking other warriors in the warfield. See, Drona, by age also very senior. He should respect that. No? He's not respecting that. He started that even if you don't fight Drona, don't worry. I have many other warriors who can fight for me and lay down their lives for me. So in this way, the Duryodhana is quite diplomatic, and you can see that's how his consciousness with which he is doing this diplomacy is very what do you call it? Negatively oriented, a wicked mindedness. And because of this diplomacy has made only dirty politics. On the Kaurava side, we see the dirty politics. And on the Pandava side, we see very nice, amazing arrangement of community, which is a cooperative principle, on the principle of cooperation, on principle of serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. And because of which that team remained, they have their own difference of opinions. Bhima has a complete different opinion from Arjuna, but they are united. They have one common mission to establish Yudhishthir as the king of the whole world. That common mission they are fighting for. On the other hand, Kauravas, they appear maybe very close than Pandavas. They may be very united if it's externally, but they don't have a common purpose. Everyone has their own agendas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you all of very much for coming, and I'm sorry when I